All right. So yes, I'm Tom Fallenstein, CEO, owner, founder of Fun.com, Costumes Galore, HalloweenCostumes.com, BuyFun.com. We've gone through quite a few names throughout the year, but Fun.com is now who we are. I'll give kind of a brief history. I'd rather this be more of like a question and answer. If there's ways I can actually help you guys, would be a lot more beneficial to me. So I'll maybe run through a bit of history, a little bit about what we do now, and I'll leave a lot of time for Q&A, because I'd rather find out what you guys want to know more about, or anywhere where I can help you guys. So starting with history, yeah, my parents were big into Halloween growing up. So my mom was a seamstress, made all these amazing costumes, and my sisters started renting the costumes our mom had for us growing up. So officially 1992 is when my sisters opened up their garage with 20 costumes. Basically, they started just sewing more costumes. It was out of my sister's college house, just in their basement. If you can see the hours we were open early on was basically 3 hours for about 10 days in October. So super busy, small business, super small business. Obviously, we've come a long way. 1999, I graduated from high school and went to MSU, and the business got moved into my mom's basement, where we had about 500 costumes. By that point, we started going to some trade shows, and they were still making some costumes themselves. Again, a very small business. We were only really open on like weekends and a couple weekend nights during October. They're all rental costumes at that point. So when I was in college, 2001, I built the first website, which was flappercostumes.com. I borrowed $5,000 from my parents. And again, we were going to like trade shows, so I could find a place where we could buy costumes and sell them. So I borrowed $5,000, which bought me 4 different costumes, which were all flapper costumes, 3 different colors, and they all fit my college closet. And I started flappercostumes.com. At that point, I was really trying to like learn more about the internet, how to get someone to find you, how to sell something online. And that was kind of the start of the online portion of the business. I graduated in December of 2004. And during college, I had built a couple more specific websites like that. It was wizardofozcostumes.com, buysuperherocostumes.com. And then when I graduated, the business was maybe doing like 40,000 in sales when I graduated. So I graduated with a computer science degree and deciding, should I go, get a real job, as my mom would tell me, or would I try this and see what I could do? So I kind of gave myself a year. Funny story is we actually went like suit shopping so I could interview and go get a real job. And then I showed up to my mom's house and said I was ready to start my own business. Luckily, it worked out. My mom ended up being my first employee, by the way. So 2005, basically I graduated, built a few new websites, all of it running out of my parents' house. So if you can see a few pictures in there, boxes were stacked to the ceilings. Basically, we couldn't take enough work. We couldn't help everyone, so we literally had to unplug the phones. I was asking friends to come help packages after the bars at like 2 a.m. because we were still there shipping. Just could not fill the volume of people who were ordering online or trying to call in. So we went from 40,000 sales to 250,000 sales that year out of my parents' house. And we had to unplug everything. So after that, we incorporated 2006. 3 of my sisters came on full time. My mom, we went to 1014 South Front Street. We lasted about 2 years, which we thought was going to be like a big, huge facility. Will last 5 years. It lasted 2. We went from 250,000 in sales to 1.7 to 5.2. So big jumps real quickly. Ran out of space. Moved into First Avenue building, which was 2008. So this was 50,000 square feet. So mom's house, 10,000 square feet, 50,000 square feet. We grew out of that in 3 years. Went from 10 million to 15 million to 22 million. This is when 2008 we acquired HalloweenCostumes.com. So we basically bought the domain name from somebody else. We paid $1 million for the domain. So it's kind of like taking all this risk of we knew, we were getting all this revenue from these small specific websites before that. WizardofOzCostumes.com, SuperheroCostumes.com, Star Wars Costumes. We knew people wouldn't repeat buying from WizardofOzCostumes.com, so it was always like a first-time customer. So I was trying to get after these bigger names where I could see how many people were searching for Wizard of Oz costumes, I could see how many people were searching for Star Wars, we could see how many sales we were getting. So we kind of estimated, man, if we had HalloweenCostumes.com, I think we could do like $15 million just based on the amount of searches. If we could get that to rank and get people to find it. And within 3 months, it had paid for itself. So got out of that building. So 2011, we moved into our current facility, 2080 Lookout Drive. Again, continued to see just rapid growth, went 26 million, 32 million. We had our millionth order ever out of that facility, our current facility. So the current facility is about 200,000 square feet. Now we have that filled, and we also have about 100,000 square feet that we're renting in Waseca right now. So we continue to expand. We're actually looking for an East Coast distribution center for next year where we're going to open up multiple locations and start being closer to customers. 2013, we acquired Fun.com. So this was, we're a super seasonal business, and the goal is we have all this infrastructure, all this systems that we really only use like 1 month out of the year. So, if we can have a more steady stream of business. Ultimately, I was like, what's the best domain I could think of to sell all types of products? We do a lot of licensed products like Star Wars, Wizard of Oz. Could we also sell products outside of costumes? So that's what the idea for Fun.com was. And that one took me about 3 years to negotiate with the person who owned it. Ended up paying $3.1 million for Fun.com. Still say it's worth it. Obviously a big check to write, but it is now our domain. It is our company. If you think about like value of properties or domain names, Fun.com's super short, easy to remember. There's no plurals. You almost automatically get like a reputation of, what the brand is about. It's kind of reputable because it's not some long word you wouldn't know of. So that's kind of what you're paying for when you buy a big domain like that. Here's some pictures of our facility. So packed full right now. Just lots and lots of costumes everywhere. Got a lot of conveyor going through the whole facility. And this year we're implementing robots. So robots will actually go around the aisles and help pick the packages. So all the walking will not be happening by these robots that are autonomous, and they just walk around the warehouse and bring the package to the person or bring the package to packing stations. Now, these are just getting implemented right now. So really cool technology getting put into our facility. Next, I'll bring you through some of our licensed product and kind of different types of things that we sell. All right, so kind of told the history already. Last year we did about 180 million in sales. We've got now about 220 full-time staff. We hired 2,000 seasonal workers. We've been the fastest growing kind of costume company the last 10 years. 2020, we actually acquired our first company. The company was called Elope, and they make funny, Elope stands for Everybody Laughing on Planet Earth. And they make like whimsical hats and accessories. We've been a vendor of theirs forever, where they make a lot of costume accessories and things. So they were kind of going through a transition of a wholesale business that was, seeing more and more kind of online competition. So we kind of saw that as a big opportunity to get their manufacturing expertise, bring them direct to consumers. We work with a lot of different licensors. So we make and manufacture about 50% of our own costumes. We design in-house. We work with a bunch of factories overseas. So Disney, Warner Brothers, Sony, Universal. We make a bunch of product that you maybe wouldn't find anywhere else. Things like a flounder costume from The Little Mermaid. We're kind of the online experts, so I know there's a lot of information here, but basically if you search Halloween costumes on Google, we are the #1 ranking. If you search Star Wars costumes on Google, we're the #1 ranking. You might see product listings of ours where there's like little pictures of the costumes, or it might just be the link to our actual website. Lots of different teams that we have that go into this. That Halloween costume search gets searched 110 million times a year. So you can imagine the amount of traffic that comes from just ranking #1 for that. Here's some of the product types. So high quality costumes, we'll make masks and accessories. Some things that make us a little different than, when we're pitching a licensor, what makes us different from like Party City or Spirit Halloween or Target. Our main differentiators are, one, being online, we can have a vast variety of different sizes, price points, character depth. So if you go to a Party City, they can really only have about 1,000 items in their store, where we have 10,000. So if you can imagine, they might carry just the top character and only carry it in like a standard adult size, or we'll carry every character from the whole movie and all the sizes. So those are some of the big differentiators of why people shop with us. So if it's something like Grease, they might carry a pink ladies jacket, we'll carry every other character that you can think of, which is great for family offerings, full groups going out, and making sure that it actually fits. We're also very data driven, so we can look at like Google Analytics, we can look at searches on our website to kind of see what are people searching for, and then we'll fill that gap. So if we see, hey, 1,000 people a month are searching for a squid costume, I guess we need to make a squid costume. Here's some of the costumes that we made last year with Disney. And we do full lifestyle shoots and bring in models, go on locations. Pet costumes. It's kind of switched from, people used to have their babies, but now like their pets are their babies and their pets are their plants. It's kind of how it's switched to. We're launching this year some new like baby carriers. So this will kind of go on the outside of like a carrier for your infant costumes. And then outside of costumes, we make a lot of different products. So Halloween decor, kind of props and collectibles, scarves, hats, blazers, sweaters, bags, shoes and slippers. So this is kind of how we're expanding outside of costumes. That's it. I'll leave it there and let the Q&A begin. Sure.
Can you say a bit about the actual design and manufacture of the costumes you do make, material acquisition, issues like that?
Sure. So she wanted to know more about kind of design and process of making costumes. So we've got costume designers who will like sketch out different ideas. So it might start with our buying team will actually look at the data and see, hey, we're missing this price point, this age group. So think plus size women's gangster. So we're missing a gap there. We need some sketches done. Sketch artists will go and sketch those. Buyers will approve that. Then we work with our overseas manufacturers to kind of make a first sample. We'll go through maybe a couple sample revisions with them, just communication back and forth. Once the sample's here, then we'll shoot it for photography, get the final price and put it on purchase order, and then send over 500 or 600 of those items. We do that about 3,000 new items a year.
How long does that take from beginning to end?
Beginning to end is at least 9 months, I would start to finish. Yeah.
Yeah, in the current situation, do you have any trouble hiring enough employees?
That's been a concern the last 3 years. Last year was really rough. I'm sure you heard that we picked up a whole bunch of like hotels. We actually had 250 people in hotels and brought them from out of town to come stay in hotels to be able to work full time. This year, with the automation, that should help quite a bit. And actually, we're into our hiring season. We're actually over 1,000 applications already versus about 500 last year. So we did up our kind of minimum salary to about $20 an hour this year. So I think we're seeing, because of some of the gas prices and some recession coming, we're actually seeing more employees, I think, apply this year with compared to previous years. Yeah.
So because there are always new Disney movies and new characters coming out, how do you anticipate, what's going to be the movie that you're going to have to get on top of before the movie comes out, or before all of that has really been released?
Yeah. So questions around when new movies come out, how do you plan for what items you're supposed to be buying? Right? It is the hardest thing that we probably do. So there's always new movies, and you'll kind of see those trends will hit, like that's what some of the top selling costumes will be. We do get to see a lot of the previews for movies very early. So we might see snippets of movies, and here's the characters that they think will be big. So we're working directly with the licensor on that. But sometimes they don't hit as well. So those are the risks of Halloween. Unfortunately, everyone needs it by a certain date, and you can't with a 9-month turnaround, you can't really order more. So it's very much a supply and demand, how much product you buy. So we'll look at like previous movies. So here's what happens when Wonder Woman came out, how many we sold versus the year after. Here's what happened when a new Star Wars movie come out. So we kind of use those as trends and go, okay, now how do we expect that for the next Little Mermaid that comes out next year, and try to project based on that. Yeah, back there.
Questions, and one of them may have already employees who are dealing with Montana, and where are you at right now?
All right, what was the second one?
Look for mine.
Oh, okay, so we'll get back to it. Yeah, so ideally we need about 2,000 seasonal workers. We're right now at 1,000 applications. So applications probably need to get to about 3,000. But we are probably 3 weeks ahead of where we would have projected as far as what we're sitting for. So we also, with all the automation, it's tough to project exactly how many we'll need because we haven't fully tested that and seen how much it will help. But I'll say from the executive team that I work with, when applications are behind, all of our energy is on that. None of our energy is on that right now. So I think we're sitting in a good spot. Yeah.
Give us an idea of where the costumes are coming from. You mentioned overseas. So what are your top 5 countries that are that?
Yeah. 95% come from China. That's where almost all the fabric mills are. So we do work with Mexico companies, Peru, India, but the majority of them are getting their fabrics from China. So it ends up still being the bottleneck is the China piece. So we are moving more towards Mexico, just to try to get all of our, not have 90% of our risk in China, but currently that's where it's at. Yep.
When you said you got fun.com for $3.1 million, you got the domain name. Did they also have a going business you buy?
No.
So what did the guy do? He sat around and came up with a domain name, turned it into $3.1 million?
Yep. Yeah, there's a few people that knew what those domains are worth. There's a couple out there still, but one I'm looking at trying to buy is Halloween.com, and the one's using it right now. They're just full. Yep.
I'm interested in internet security. We hear so much about that, and scams and that sort of thing. What kind of issues do you face in your company since so much of your business is done online? Are there people trying to scam your websites, or what kind of deal and what kind of problems do you face?
Yeah. We've got a pretty high security team, and we actually use a third party who hosts a lot of our information. So what they do is kind of like they tokenize things. So basically they'll send information, but you can't actually see the information. So we don't store any credit card information for that reason. So there's no risk of like someone stealing a bunch of credit card information from our system. The downside is it doesn't allow you as a customer to just save your credit card and automatically purchase again next year. But because we're so seasonal, that's not a big issue for us. So security-wise, that reduces a huge chunk of the risk of that. Outside of that, we get like bots that hit our site just to try to like break the demand. But we have multiple website servers. So it's basically, you might come to one server. If that one goes down, it'll send you to a different one. We're pretty protected on the security side, scanning side. We have a team who sends out like fake emails to our internal teams to like test whether they, are accidentally sending money to Nigeria or something, but that's much more low key. So we're constantly trying to make sure people are far back.
Do you rent for costumes or do you sell for costumes?
Now renting is like 0.01%. So we don't rent very much anymore. Just like Santa Clauses and Easter eggs. Yep.
The growth is remarkable in such a seasonal business. Would you guys like to branch out outside of Halloween, like corporate parties, birthday parties? I saw the sweaters up there, like Christmas sweaters and that stuff. Or is your focus, it's a proven track record, you're finding that Halloween goal?
There's still lots of room within Halloween. So, last year we did 180 million. I would say we have 2.5% of the market share. So, we could triple in size without still most people knowing who we are on just the Halloween side. And then expanding internationally, Halloween, what used to be Halloween for me in the 80s is kind of what the UK is for Halloween now. So like parents didn't trick or treat, but their kids do. Halloween's expanding worldwide, but we are still trying. Fun.com is the way to expand year round with that. So I don't know if we're specifically going after specific parties or just if you have a friend who loves Star Wars, we have every single product they could think of. So whether that's for a party, whether it's for a birthday, whether it's a gift for them, we can find you something that's very unique. Yep.
Do you have any, I'm sure you do, do you have any indication of typical family unit buys from you? How many areas, how much you spend on each costume? In other words, do you think in that context or do you just think of individual people?
We have generic demographics. So demographic for us is mainly mom with a couple kids, who's our main buyer. She is probably a little bit more on the wealthier side compared to maybe shopping at a Walmart or Party City. So yeah, we've got those different demographics that we go after, but I could also show you the stats that'll go, here's what sells late Halloween because it's college kids buying last minute and it's funny men's humor stuff. And here's kids stuff that's planned a little bit earlier, and it's because it's a family that you know is going to go out for Halloween and has their plan already. So there's quite a few demographics that we get. Yep.
So many supply chain issues in the last couple of years. How is that affecting your business? What do you do to combat that?
Yeah. Last 2 years were pretty rough. Because we make and manufacture our own products, we were actually on top of it earlier than most of our competition. So last year, we we didn't get, I think like 6 million of products came after October 31st, which, you know, can be devastating, but compared to what our vendors or our competitors missed, last year we were raising prices like crazy because we were the only ones who had products. So last year we grew 40% because most people didn't have stock, and you saw maybe like Targets and Walmarts and they were empty shelves. Where now it's kind of the opposite. But last time, that's how it was.
What was your major in college?
Computer science was my major. Graphic design minor. Yeah.
This is kind of a personal question. You're a young man. What are you gonna do with the rest of your life?
I enjoy what I do. I guess I love entrepreneurship. I actually invested in a private equity group in Minneapolis, and I'm a partner in that. And they mostly focus on like Minnesota-based small businesses and, you know, trying to make them much bigger. I bought a property in the Virgin Islands, and I go there with my family. It's a VRBO. So like, I love entrepreneurship. I could talk about entrepreneurship all the time. So whether I sold my company or not, I know I'd still be doing something with business. So I think as long as I like still love what I'm doing and it's not taking me away from the other things I want to do, I'll probably, you know, the growth opportunity is still so big too that at 180 million, I think we could be a $1 billion company just within what Fund.com does and Halloween costumes. Yeah.
Just following your slideshow with the growth of your company, and I'm sitting here like taking a deep breath every time things are jumping up. I want to ask you about the personal, psychological, and emotional experience of that level of growth. What it was like for you and your family, and did you ever feel like you were going to implode?
So the questions around going through that much growth and all the anxiety and stress that comes with that, did I ever feel like I was going to implode? I'll maybe give a few different answers to this. I handle stress really well. Like I'm a very positive person and can focus on like, what can I control? What outcome can I have? And really can focus my time and energy. I've also surrounded myself with really, really talented people that I could walk away from the business and I think it would run just as well. I'm not needed there day to day. I'm only come in to find more opportunity, and sometimes that gives my team even more work to do. So sometimes I'm not helpful at all. But the core team, like I've found just people who I can hand off giant things to, and they're as good, if not better at it than I am. That relieves a lot of that stress, right? I think there's moments where like, you know, you're surprised and you're in a giant facility and you're like, wow, this is impressive how far we've come. I've never been so stressed that I've worried about, you know, things imploding. You know, I worry about my employees and like making sure I'm taking care of them. But I think we have enough cushion. The company's healthy enough that I've got kind of my, here's what I would do first, here's what I would do second if something turned in the economy or here if something else went bad. So that makes me sleep pretty easy at night. Yeah.
So what are the costumes this year that we should be buying now if we want them?
Sure. Some items that will run out this year. Top Gun, surprise, right? Minions, really big. Seen a bunch of Ghostbusters going out recently. So new movie stuff always drives big. Otherwise, it'll be some trend that'll happen next month. Yeah.
So a lot of countries around the world celebrate different types of their holidays. Let's think of them out, which is mine. You buy costumes, those.
Yep. About 15% of our sales come international. So one that's big for us in January is called Purim. It's like a Jewish holiday, and they actually all dress up in costumes. So we see like big Israel orders. So there's different like holidays like that throughout. At the same time, you know, we'll do 4 million orders over the year. 2 million will happen in October. 1 million will happen in August, September. So it's still very much around Halloween. Yeah.
What is an average price
Our average order is about $45. So I would say, you know, a kid's costume is probably more like 30, adults more like 50, and then your accessories in between. So average order is about $55. Yep. So my sister's still working full time. I actually acquired and bought my family out in 2019. So my one sister's in charge of licensing. She's still there every day. But the rest of the family's kind of stepped away.
Is mom retired?
Yeah, as much as my mom can retire.
She doesn't bug you anymore about being a real job.
No, she's still a worrier, so she'll still worry about, oh, how are you gonna deal with all these employees? How are you gonna deal with this new automation? I hope it's gonna work, and she's still a worrier. So luckily, I know how to deal with that, and it's okay.
For all us procrastinators this year, when's the last date we should order a costume from you? Expect to get it for Halloween.
You can order it October 30th, and we'll get it to you October 30th. So you're welcome, procrastinators.
Tom, have you ever thought about going public and have a stock company and someone who's get a chance to
Thought about it. I'm probably not much of a public CEO because I like control and I don't like to spend all my time on things that aren't helping just grow the business. We also haven't really needed the financials to, you know, if there were a bunch of companies I wanted to go acquire and needed capital, I think we talk about that more, but we haven't had much limitations in what we wanted to do. So we've had conversations. I think it could make sense at some point if I wanted to double and go acquire a bunch of like international companies, but not in the next 5 years probably.
So what is the next 5-year plan beyond just continued growth? Where do you want to take this?
Next 5 years, lots of international expansion. So we're looking at an East Coast distribution center, West Coast distribution center, one in Europe, one in Australia. So right now, you know, we're shipping stuff to Australia and Europe, but we're charging like $15 because it costs that much and we're carrying it from here. So as you can imagine, like competition-wise, we are winning because we have a bunch of unique product. We're not winning because we are cheap and mass. So we know we could double or triple the size of those businesses just by being there local. More licensing, there's more opportunity on the licensing side, not just with costumes, but beyond costumes too. So just those two things, there's lots of growth. Yep.
So, can you give us an idea of what the bulk of the employees do as part of the job?
Sure. I would say about half are operations, so receiving inventory, shipping, receiving product, putting it up, picking product, shipping it out, customer service. Beyond that, I've got accounting team, buying team. We write all of our own software internally, so we've got 20 people who are just IT tech people. So our systems, from how we pick and pull orders in the warehouse to how we show data in buying team to how we process making product, is all systems we've written in-house. Our product development teams are pretty big now, who are designing and creating new products. Graphic team, photography, all of our marketing, so being on Amazon, Google, Facebook, writing content and putting the products online, making sure you can find it on the website. There's a lot of different teams.
Is there an average difference between your licensed products and your non-licensed products in terms of price point?
License will be a little bit higher. I mean, the average licenser probably takes 5 or 6% of every sale, so you can just imagine it's that much higher in general for a licensed product. Yep.
Certain business personality that you really like to follow, or that you read, or you just look up to or admire?
Have been over the years. Tony Hsieh was probably the one I followed the most. Tony Hsieh started Zappos, which Amazon bought for $1 billion, which is like a shoe company, but they're very like customer centric and about their employees. So I'm a tech guy, but I love products. So, the Googles and Facebooks, I follow a lot of that kind of stuff. Otherwise, it's like employee culture things. Those are the types of books I would read mostly. Is there any questions where I can help like your business in any way or you out?
Do you ever donate costumes for kids who can't afford them?
Yeah, we do a lot of donation stuff. A lot of it's usually smaller like groups that contact us. Yep, sure. Here's costumes, or we have, if someone gets a product and it's maybe missing a glove, we can't resell that, so we've got a stack of products too that can be turned into play type items, and so we'll donate a lot of that to different charities or local places that want things like that.
All right, thank you, Tom. I like thinking about Halloween, even if I'm not quite ready for it to be cold yet. All right, well, thank you everyone for coming. Happy birthday, Fred. Sharon.